Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, let's go over NVIDIA. As painful as it is, let's go over NVIDIA. Let's talk about what the hell's happened to the stock, because my goodness, a stock like this and a company like this dropping almost 20% on the day. Yeah, well, that's gonna raise some eyebrows. So I'll give you my thoughts moving forward. And yeah, all that being said and done, let's jump into it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, my thoughts on the charts, etc., I do share these thoughts with my members every single day. A lot of members we're talking about today. Oops, it's very zoomed in. But yeah, nonetheless, I share my thoughts every single day. Yeah, a lot of members were very happy with me today, obviously, because I helped a lot of people essentially avoid the FOMO up here. And well, clearly that was the right call. Now, obviously, I did not expect it to drop almost 20%. I mean, again, I did mention on Friday, we have some very bearish patterns. We have a massive bearish engulfing. We fell out of the channel, blah, 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 blah. But, I'm not going to take credit for this drop, though. I'm not going to pretend like I knew it was going to drop this much. I thought it'll drop down to like low 130s. We went to 118 instead. Actually went to as low as like 116 instead. That is astronomical and substantially lower than I expected. And I'm sure pretty much anyone expected. But I'll give you my thoughts moving forward. Also, I just want to quickly shout out this guy right here. Mr. 12345 blah. On the Friday's video, NVIDIA rips Monday, do the opposite of what this guy says, laughing emoji, laughing emoji. The reason I'm pointing this out is because sometimes you'll get smart asses in comments, people talking like, with a massive ego. Again, I just want to point this out. If you write just really, really cringe shit like this in the comments, either you'll get flamed and, essentially be put on the pedestal like this, or I will just simply ban you, right? Again, this isn't the comment section for, children, like high school students. We're here to have constructive comments, constructive conversations, if a conversation at all, and we're here to make money, right? If you write these kind of comments, you're a clown, number one. Number two, inverse this guy. And number three, yeah, you probably just get banned straight up. It is what it is. We're not here to make friends, we're here to make money. So all that being said though, let's jump into it. So NVIDIA absolutely crashing on the day, but what does this actually mean moving forward? It is actually moving up 2% post hours on a pretty significant oversell, event, I guess you can say. So obviously DeepSeek came out, or DeepSeek, not deepfake, I mean, maybe the same thing, but nonetheless, DeepSeek came out. Obviously a lot of, headwind around that. Pretty much every chip/AI stock taking a massive beating today, AMD, Marvell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's two things. The overall picture for NVIDIA has unfortunately been slightly changed, right? The picture has officially turned a little bit on the more bearish side overall. But it is exceptionally oversold. So this is going to be a little bit difficult to dissect properly. But let me just, kind of give you, I'll do my best. Right. So on Friday, right, I was talking about how everyone up here is probably FOMOing in, right? Especially the Thursday and Wednesday, everyone's FOMOing in. We're at the top end of the Bollinger Band. Everyone's getting excited. Everyone's calling for 200. And everyone's FOMOing in, and everyone's buying at the top of the band. But no one buys here. No one buys here. And I bet you not a lot of people are buying here, right? Everyone's scared. Everyone's always scared when it comes to the bottom band, and everyone's always excited at the top of the band. It happens every single time, and it's probably happening again. Now, so that goes without saying, the fact that, yes, I do think this is at least short term, a very good opportunity. Not financial advice, of course. I'm not a financial advisor. I should make that very clear. This is just me thinking out loud. This is just for fun and entertainment purposes. But we are substantially oversold beyond the bands. We're well below the 4-hour, the daily band. We're just below pretty much every single band you can look at, right? Obviously, other than the weekly. Daily is where things are not. Even actually the weekly, this is interesting, right? So if I zoom out, right, there's very interesting things to point out on the weekly. This is the first time that NVIDIA has touched the bottom band on the weekly time frame ever since all the way back here in October of 2023, when the stock was sitting at around $40 per share, obviously substantially higher, but nonetheless, right? So we're at the bottom end of the Bollinger Band on the weekly, and as if that was enough, we're also retesting the 50 EMA on the weekly time frame, and so far holding it pretty damn well. And as if that wasn't enough, we're also on the daily, obviously well below the Bollinger Band, which is, Bollinger Band plus RSI is oversold on a phenomenal stock and company. That's my time to shine. Extremely high volume. But we're also essentially retesting and roughly holding, especially with the after hours market price increase at 121 pretty much now, which is great. We are essentially holding at and arguably above the kind of blue line, the teal line, which is the 200 EMA on the daily, right? So we're at some pretty crucial levels that NVIDIA hasn't really tested in months, if not even arguably years, right? Very, very, very major levels that we're at right now. And on top of that, we have this red trend line that if you connect the dots essentially from all the way back here and here, it pretty much has been tested today as well. Now, on top of this, we also have obviously an unbelievable amount of volume that came in on NVIDIA on a very ugly looking candle. But the last time this happened, I told my members about this. I think it was this one here. Was it this one here? I think it was this one here, right? All the way back here on April 24th. Also pretty much the exact same volume, very ugly candle, below the Bollinger Band, hideous looking candle. Next day, we printed an inside day, and then we ended up rallying from there since. Right now, obviously, I'm not saying that we're going to do this exact move, but the point is the fact that it still marked a bottom. Very ugly candle, very high volume, and it marked the bottom. So, you know, it kind of reminds me of this candle back here, which was on, what is this? Friday, the 19th of April, 2024. So that's kind of the more slightly, I guess you can argue, bullish perspective, right? I mean, you're buying at a massive discount. You ultimately we're officially at that 115 level that I did mention that was a possibility if we actually broke down to one of these instances, but we didn't. Now we did, and we came right down to that 115 level. Again, if there's a spot for NVIDIA, in my opinion, to at the very least get a bounce and a dead cat bounce back up to, you know, low 130s roughly, I believe this is it. I do believe this is roughly where it's at. Obviously, it's not guaranteed. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is guaranteed in the market. But it's not, you know, this is not a bad place to potentially do that. So, what does this actually mean, though, right? And why did I say that the overall picture can be arguably a little bit bearish? Well, the overall picture can be arguably a little bit bearish because, you know, like I said, we were in this massive rising channel, right? Unfortunately, we ended up breaking and losing this massive bottom trend line support that we've held many times. We held it here, we held it here, here, and then we gapped obviously substantially below it. Now, naturally, what that means is the fact that this trend line that was, of course, a massive area of support, well, naturally, you expect it to be essentially a massive area of resistance. So if we do get a dead cat and bounce back up, which again can lead us into the low to maybe even mid 130s, that would be essentially a retest of this trend line, which I would, in theory, unless obviously, you know, something happens, expect to find rejection. Plain and simple, to expect to find some, some level of rejection at that general vicinity. So we'll see how that, ultimately plays out, of course. But that's kind of my general perspective right now on NVIDIA. And if I go to the 4-hour chart, you can also see the fact that, this kind of new one I drew right here, this little rectangle box, if you will, right? On the 4-hour chart, many times this area right here has acted as a support, and then we, in the morning, came right into it, and this is what I told my members as it was happening. We came right into it, and it did act as a resistance, unfortunately, which was about 128, and we sold off $10 since then, which is pretty crazy, but it is what it is, right? So this will be another level to watch out for, right? Pretty much starting in the very high 120s to about the mid to low 130s. That general vicinity should, in theory, act as a pretty massive area of resistance now. So it becomes a bit of a difficult situation because, again, I'm a mean reversion type trader, I guess you can say. I like mean reversion strats on good stocks, right? So NVIDIA is well below the mean reversion line, right? Remember how I always talked about every time it was too far away from the mean line, it snapped back. Every time it was too high, it snapped back. Well, now we're like extremely far away from the mean line, which is all the way sitting at around 138. Now, I don't think we'll snap back instantly, and this most likely will make its way back down to us, and we'll maybe meet somewhere in the middle. But I do expect an overall mean reversion most likely coming sometime. Maybe this week, maybe next week. I don't know how long it'll take, but ultimately back up to the very least, I think the high 120s, maybe even again, the low 130s. And that's where I do expect an overall pretty substantial rejection. And most likely, at the very least, we'll come back down to double bottom, though potentially, we can make lower lows as well. Again, this will take time. This is not going to happen overnight, but it is worth mentioning such a potential, pathway, I guess you can say. So that's kind of my general perspective, I guess you can say, on NVIDIA, right? Very, very aggressive sell-off. I definitely think it's oversold short term. There's no question about that. Again, oversold doesn't mean it has to 100% bounce from here and it's all good news from here on out, right? No, absolutely not. But, trading is all about probability, and I think the probability for this being closer to a bottom than not is much higher than it being a top, at least short term. Again, I expect that dead cat bounce sooner than later. Again, high 120s, low 130s. That's my current expectations. We'll see how it plays out. And we'll see what actually moves forward. I obviously bought shares. I sold cash triggered puts. When maybe a little bit too aggressive. I might have to reduce it on this gap up that we're getting now because I went a little too aggressive. But I got kind of excited. I got excited because I did exit all my positions on NVIDIA on this massive bearish engulfing on Friday. And man, thank goodness I did, because my goodness, jolly gee, this was a painful drop. I got very lucky on that. You don't always get that lucky, but this time I got lucky, so I like that. But nonetheless, let's take a look at options flow on NVIDIA and let's see what's happening with NVIDIA on the options flow. And let's go over to it right here. Don't forget, we have a massive week. We have FOMC as well. A lot of mixed flow on NVIDIA, of course, right? A lot of flow throughout the day came in. A substantial amount of flow, a lot of bullish flow, a lot of bearish flow. You can see the overall amount was pretty much equal between bullish and bearish flow on NVIDIA. Towards the end of the day, we did see some decent bearish flow come in as well. So could be a bit of a concern. We'll see. But NVIDIA confirmed 14 million bearish flow. So, you know, a lot of them did essentially cancel each other out because, like I said, the bullish and bearish flow was fairly equal throughout the day. But yeah, let's just see. Again, just because it's oversold, it doesn't mean it has to bounce. You know, sometimes it's good to let this kind of, you know, dust settle. This is arguably a bigger move than on earnings move, right? And usually when a stock drops this aggressively, most people will give it a day or two, sometimes 3, to let the dust settle, let the stock find its footing before they truly enter positions, right? This, you know, wouldn't be a bad time to, you know, maybe consider that here. I'm just saying. But nonetheless, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.